Once the crown jewel in the Canadian Pacific Railway's mighty Great Lakes steamship fleet, this 111-year-old ship connected a restless, bustling nation eastern to western Canada from October 7, 1908 until December 2, 1965. The Keewatin ran continuously for almost 60 seasons, being retired in 1965. She transported dignitaries, most notable former Prime Minister John Diefenbaker, immigrant passengers, freight, mail, and flour on her 2-day run to the trains between nearby Port McNicoll and Thunder Bay, Ontario. The SS Keewatin was known as the Blizzard of the North. This gleaming 4,000-ton Edwardian-class beauty was built 5 years prior to her larger cousin, RMS Titanic. Built by the Fairfield Shipbuilding and Engineering Company in Scotland and launched on July 6, 1907, the 350-foot-long Keewatin carried 288 passengers with a crew of 86 and cruised at a top speed of 14 knots. Beneath her decks is the show-stopping Fairfield steam engine. This 3,300 horsepower beast is the same steam engine used by the RMS Titanic, although the Titanic had 3 below her decks. Further on up, an ornate mahogany wood staircase is the Flower Pot Lounge, an inner sanctuary draped with ferns and dappled with light filtering down from above through hand-painted gold leaf Italian glass windows. Around every corner, in each of the 108 staterooms, and in every crease is another story. The grand parties and grand people were there just yesterday. This historic Canadian luxury liner has just recently completed major restorations and has been independently appraised at $32 million. In 1912, Port McNicoll, Ontario was known as the Chicago of the North and was established as a new superport. Rail terminals and ships alike relocated to this port. The ships leaving port took 2.5 days to make the one-way voyage, including a half-day traversing the Soo Locks. The trains and ships were discontinued in 1965 following the completion of the Trans-Canada Highway through northern Ontario, causing the town of Port McNicoll to practically die. After languishing for a few years, in January 1967, the Keewatin was bought by West Michigan entrepreneur Roland J. Peterson Sr. for $37,000 and relocated to Kalamazoo Lake, Douglas, Michigan on June 27, 1967. Soon after, she was acquired for historic preservation and was later listed on the National Register of Historic Places in the United States. She was known as the Keewatin Maritime Museum, permanently docked from 1968 until her relocation in 2012. In August 2011, it was announced that the vessel had been sold to Skyline International Developments, Inc. and was moved back to her home port of Port McNicoll, Ontario on June 23, 2012 for restoration and permanent display as a maritime museum and event facility. On June 23, 2012, a major celebration marked Keewatin's return. The date was significant as it was 45 years after Keewatin left Port McNicoll on June 23, 1967, and 100 years after May 12, 1912, the date that she began working from the same dock. The ship had also become a floating set for a number of maritime-related documentaries and television docudramas, including subjects involving the torpedoed ocean liner Lusitania, the burned-out Bahamas cruise ship Yarmouth Castle, Canadian Pacific's Empress of Ireland, as well as the Titanic. She was also used extensively in the opening episode of Season 7, Murdoch Ahoy of Murdoch Mysteries. A documentary called Bring Her On Home was also broadcast on CBC Canada. The Keewatin is open for daily visits from May 24th until October 10th.